Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. You know what? Doesn't need to be within reason. Nothing seems to be within reason. I wanted to start with this question from Magua Crone. I'm going to say the acronym. I'm going to say the words the acronym stands for because that's how I'm feeling. What the fuck is going on? That's a real question. Yes, Magua Crane, that is Crone, sorry. That is a real question. What the fuck is going on in what used to be, I think safe to say, one of the greatest democracies in world history, and is now not simply a democracy on the wane or a waning democracy. I don't believe this is a democracy at all anymore. So I'm sure you all have a lot of questions about how, what, why, and so before I jump in, I just want to say that part of this is because people who should have known better and didn't listen to us, to those of us who really saw what was going on, have been seeing it for 8 or 9 years now, did nothing to prepare. That's one problem we're having. Secondly, the other side has been preparing. They have been reading the landscape, recognizing all the ways in which our institutions have been bending over backwards to accommodate their fascism, their oligarchical ambitions. And they've also been noticing that there's really not much an opposition, even in power, can do, let alone one that's out of power. So, yes, they're flooding the zone. Yes, that's what you do when your goal is to keep everybody so wrong-footed, so caught off guard, so off balance that while they're looking at the horrors of the illegal unconstitutional budget freeze, they are taking over entire agencies and installing an unelected cabal of anti-American psychos who were all being enabled by that deranged idiot in the White House. So let's get to more of your questions. But what the fuck indeed? Okay. From Josh. Question. Dr. Mary, why is your uncle so goddamn callous? Well, don't know if we have enough time, really, for me to explain that in depth, but I mean, the simplest way for me to put this is that he is a deeply psychologically disordered human being. He has numerous uh, psychiatric comorbidities. He has serious psychiatric disorders that have gone undiagnosed and untreated for decades. And he was raised by a sociopath on the one hand, and somebody who had her own issues with personality disorders and who was not really capable of bonding with her children, again, for various reasons. It was a perfect storm. I wrote about this recently. You could not create in a lab, although Dr. Frankenstein tried mightily, you cannot create a lab a more despicable, deranged, damaged, depraved human being than Donald Trump. So, one of the reasons he's callous is because of all that. I think, there's also the fact that on some very, very deep unconscious level, he knows that he is a complete fraud. He knows that he has failed his way up spectacularly since my grandfather was running the show. He knows that he has no basic worth as a human being. He is nothing of what he's always claiming to be. And because of because of what both of my grandparents did and how Donald's early life unfolded, he never got the kind of love a young child would need, right? So, the thing he most wants, the thing he most craves is to be loved. But largely because of my grandfather's malign influence and largely because of what Donald witnessed happening to my dad when he was growing up, my grandfather also rendered Donald completely unlovable. That is quite a conundrum. So let's see. That's a short answer. There's a much longer version of that answer in my first book, if you're interested. Before we head on to the next question, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Senator Bernie Sanders put out a video, I think on TikTok, but I'm sure it was on all the other social media platforms as well. So he had some suggestions for action items we can take, and he sort of excuse me, focused on the short term, because I think right now we all need to focus on the short term. We need to organize because this is so hugely important. Republicans have a razor thin 4-seat majority in the House of Representatives. The Democratic districts they won by very, very slim margins, right? The House of Representatives has, I don't know, 500, this is approximately 538 people in it. People get sick and can't show up for votes. People retire. People get convicted of crimes, especially if they're Republicans. All sorts of things can happen on any given day. We literally need 2 Republicans to drop out, and Hakeem Jeffries is Speaker of the House. So all the more reason to make sure that your representatives are hearing from you. Even the Republicans, even if you think that feels hopeless, but especially the Democrats. They respond. It is their constitutional obligation to their constituents to respond to your phone calls and your emails and your snail mail. They actually like a good old-fashioned letter that puts stamps on as long as we still have a functioning post office. You need to let them know in no uncertain terms if there's a legislation that you disagree with that you want Democrats fighting against. I completely understand, as well or better than most people, how difficult it is to keep going at times like this. However, that's what we do. We need to be active. You need to contact the Capitol switchboard. The number, I'll repeat it, and it's in the Chiron at the bottom of the screen, but I'll repeat it throughout. It's 202-224-2131. Contact your senators too, because we have some excruciatingly important confirmation votes happening this week. And I know that you could say, well, Republicans don't need Democrats' votes to confirm any of these nominees. What is it? 53 30, 47. They don't need one Democratic vote. So what difference does it make, really? It makes a difference to us. Something like 6 Democrats voted to confirm Kristi Noem, especially since it doesn't matter in terms of whether or not these people get confirmed. Make a fucking stand. Like, how hard is that? Who is it for? Who is it for? For you to vote to confirm these people. And I know what some Democrats would probably say. Well, pick your battles. So and so might actually be qualified. None of these people is qualified. All right, let's say, for the sake of argument, a handful of these nominees is qualified on paper. Do you know why they should be automatically disqualified from serving in a government? Because they are willing to serve in this government. This anti-American, anti-constitutional, fascist state that is being built around us in real time. If that isn't disqualifying, I do not know what is. So yeah, if you cannot stand up in the most basic, easy, no-brainer way, like, get the fuck out of the way. Okay. We started here. Take it down a notch. Or not, depending on your next question. Just to follow up, because Mercedes is looking through your comments and what's diaphragmatic breathing? Not my forte, apparently. We need. Okay, let me take a step back. I want to remind you of this, just so we're very clear what we're dealing with here. I said this before. I don't know if it was on this show, but when it happened, I mentioned it. Democrats, since the election, have been a little bit shell-shocked, I guess. And somebody asked Dick Durbin, who is minority leader of the Judiciary Committee, which Democrats were going to be leading the charge against this new regime, this destructive, dangerous regime. And he said, well, we need some time. This is all new to us. Okay. That's what we're dealing with. So we need to pick who our leaders are going to be, not them. All right, from Vicky. Question. Will contacting Congress members actually do anything except make the citizen feel better? I write mine almost daily. So far, the computer generated thank you. Yes, I think it does matter. Obviously, it will matter less or more depending on what kind of district you're in. If you're in the reddest part of Alabama, for example, I don't know. However, there's nothing wrong with feeling better, because again, it's not an exercise. All right. It is not a useless thing to do with your time. It is important for us to engage, to be engaged civically, right? So if you're getting a computer generated thank you, I would suggest trying another way. Pick up the phone, write a letter. Seriously. I guess you could type it, but put it in an envelope, address it to Congress. There are plenty of websites where we'll put some either in the chat if we find them, or in the show notes. There are every single one of your representatives and senators has 2 addresses. They have in-state offices and they have offices in Washington, D.C. Write a letter. I mean, again, every single tool we have at our disposal, we need to be deploying. Not deploying. That would be a weird thing to do with a tool. We need to be using. So yeah, mix it up. Not just emails, phone calls, letters. Go there in person. Okay, from Tracy, question. Does the end of DEI mean that those of us with disabilities will have more trouble getting jobs? Also, did the Nerd Avengers from Thursday's post? I didn't see it. Okay. Second question first, Tracy. There was no Nerd Avengers on Thursday. I had a thing that I had to deal with. So apologies, but we will be back on our normal schedule starting Tuesday. I don't know what day it is, but that's not uncommon lately. As for your more serious question, does the end of DEI mean that those of us with disabilities will also have more trouble getting jobs? Well, they've added the A at the end of DEI, which, as you know, stands for accessibility. Yeah, I'm not sanguine. I don't know enough about it to know with any kind of certainty, but I think it's safe to say that this is an administration that is not interested. I mean, I know this from personal experience with Donald. He's an absolutely grotesque human being who has no use for people with disabilities. But that doesn't mean. I mean, also, I guess it depends where you're trying to get a job. And another thing that's very, very, very important for you guys to know is that for the time being, there are incredibly talented, dedicated people still doing the work, right? And they will continue to do that work as long as they conceivably can. So, part of what we're going to be doing is as things continue to change. I mean, there's so much churn right now, so much is in flux right now, but as we have a better sense of how things are changing, in what capacity they're changing, we're going to do everything in our power to keep you posted. Okay? Philip, question. Is Felon 47's endgame to make himself the king of America and eventually emperor of the Terran Empire? Can we send him back to the mirror universe? I don't hate the mirror universe that much, Philip. Come on. If only it were so easy. He wouldn't last a second in the mirror universe. For those of you who don't know, that's a Star Trek thing. One of the best Star Trek episodes ever made. Mirror, mirror. There's nothing. I mean, look, Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura, is always a badass. But holy shit, she takes her badassery to the next flipping level in that episode. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. What is Donald's endgame? He doesn't have one. He's just getting really, really rich. He's signing off on everything. And as you can all see with your own eyes, he is dementing. I said this during the election. It is more true now. His brains are melting out of his ears. He's just, do whatever you want. Am I making more money? Are people being hurt? Cool. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. That is an Apple feature. I revile. So yeah, he's getting what he wants, and that's all that matters. from Chestnut 127. Question. I really enjoyed your podcast with David Duchovny, longtime fan. You seemed in your element. Will you do another? For those of you who don't know, David Duchovny is an actor. I think he's a director. He's directed some things, and he's a really smart guy. Really smart guy. I mean, I've admired his work since the X-Files. And he was an English major, and he actually asked me to be on his show, which is called Fail Better. And I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like David Duchovny wants to talk to me. Okay. So I was I think excited is the wrong word because I didn't know what to expect because I only know him from his work. I didn't know his backstory. And it was one of the most in-depth, thoughtful, um, substantive conversations I've had. And I think it was like an hour and a half long. Hopefully they edited out the part during which we were talking about deconstruction and Derrida and Lacan. I hope for your sakes. But yeah, it was fascinating. I depends on whether or not I get permission for this anytime soon because there's a lot going on. But I'm creating a new show called Emergency Art, in which I interview artists of all kinds, and I'd love to have him on that show. So thank you for bringing that up because it was wonderful. He seems like a great guy, and I really again didn't know what to expect. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. And the other cool thing, he had actually read my new book, so he knew what he was talking about. That rarely happens, by the way. Heidi, question. Which product services boycotted would be the fastest way to hurt Musk, Thiel, and Donald? None. I mean, the only people who get hurt by that are I don't know. I am not saying don't boycott things, but that's boycotting things will not hurt those people. I mean, unless we all stop using social media and stop egg his car. I don't know. But they've got this system so rigged that I think it's going to take more like things like what Canada's doing. Again, what Canada's doing is not going to hurt these guys, but it seems like they're targeting because again, Canada and Mexico are retaliating against Donald's tariffs by adding their own tariffs, but at least Canada um, it seems like they're targeting products made in red states. So I think that is not the only way, but that is a way to bring pressure to bear because of if red states start suffering, which they will, much more than blue states. And before we start celebrating, there are a lot of people who don't deserve what's coming to them, right? But I think that might be something. Sorry, having a little breathing issue. Um, that's something that could definitely shift the way red state politicians are perceiving all of this. So again, I'm not going to tell you whether to boycott or not to boycott. I'm having my own deep concerns about certain platforms I continue to be on. And I need to make that calculus. Like, is it worth it? But Definitely, definitely, definitely. All of us, stop using Amazon right now, buy from Costco, and much more importantly, let's support it as big a way as like everything we buy should be bought from Black-owned businesses, LGBTQ plus IA, well, you know what I'm saying? Businesses, women-owned businesses. Um, that's we need to be doing that. Everything we buy should be from a business that is owned and operated by people who are under siege right now. Businesses owned by people with disabilities. On and on. That's what we do. Susan, why aren't the Dems doing anything for you guys? I don't think that's true, but all right, let's the Democrats have no well, okay. The Democrats are completely out of power. The executive branch, both houses of Congress, the Supreme Court, and the Fifth Estate, for the most part, controlled by Republicans. Not just Republicans, but Republicans who think fascism is the best way for them to get richer. They're wrong, but they don't care because it's in the short term, it's working out very well for them. That doesn't mean the Democrats can't do anything. It just means that they can't stop anything. They can slow things down. They can, please, for God's sake, start leading a movement. They can resist. They can tell us how to resist. They can help us feel like they're listening to us, that they're there for us, that they have a plan, that they have their own action items, right? That's what we need from Democrats. There are so many ways they could be slowing things down legislatively, right? In particular. Although, that's a crapshoot because it goes to Supreme Court. Supreme Court already said that Donald's emperor. So, however, slow it down. And one senator can put something on a hold and like the Democrat, even in the minority, right? I think the most important thing other than that the Democrats need to be doing right now is do everything in their power to win the messaging war. These people are destroying our fucking country. We can fix it, but you have to put us back into power. I know that's a long time away right now, but start making that argument now. Sorry. Having fun? Woo! Living through history. It's quite something. Hey, Betty Veronica 2.0. Question. Hi, Mary. Hello. Do you think there could be a mole in Donald's regime planning to sabotage it? What? Sabotage it. Also, thank you for using your Sunday to provide us with free therapy. I don't know, Betty Veronica. I kind of feel like I'm the one getting the therapy here. My pleasure. Thank you for being here, everybody. You can listen to me scream into the void. No, I'm not. I'm screaming at you. That's so much better. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't. I'm not entirely sure what one person or even a group of people could do, but I'd like to think so. I would like to think that there are people who have access that could release volume 2 of Jack Smith's report. That would be lovely. I have to be honest with you. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this because I think we're all just so trained at this point. Or not all of us, but Democrats. I kind of expected people to be like handcuffing themselves to their desks. No. Um. So yeah, hopefully there's a movement within, but I have to wait to find out. From Oswin. Question: do you think Elon is doing the dirty work so when things go badly, he'll be the one that will go to prison? Oh, Elon Musk is never going to prison. Uh-uh. Um, no. I mean, yes, he's definitely the one doing the dirty work, but who's going to stop him? Literally nobody's going to stop him because the people who, like, sort of before the election and during the transition were like, not on Team Elon, they're all getting exactly what they want. So what do they care? You know? Philip, question. Do you think we dropped into an alternate reality where the North lost the Civil War, Jim Crow remained, and rubber barons run the country? Well, guys, I'm very sorry to tell you this, and I'm not being sarcastic. The North did lose the Civil War. If the North had won the Civil War, none of this would be happening. The North lost the Civil War during Reconstruction by capitulating to monsters, by allowing newly freed Black Americans to be terrorized and disenfranchised within 12 years, during which so much was accomplished. So much was accomplished. And there was so much failure, mostly because of white Northern Republicans. And then, after 12 years, Reconstruction ended. The terrorizing of Black Americans continued. The disenfranchisement of them continued for a century. During Reconstruction in the South, there were 2 Black senators. Can you imagine? Could you imagine if we had fought as hard after the Civil War to maintain the rights of Black Americans, where we would be right now? Yeah, the North lost the Civil War. So, why can't those goons hacking into our financial systems without the necessary security clearance be arrested? By whom? I mean, yours is a serious question. It's a very good question. But I don't know the answer to it because who would arrest them? They control everything. I think this is what happens when you extend the benefit of the doubt to people who value nothing but their own, warped agendas. But yeah, but by the same token, it is very important to keep in mind that not everything, but most of what's happening right now is illegal and unconstitutional. Let's just remember that. Never, ever, ever, ever normalize that. Empty Nest Gardens. Question. I need to know why Americans aren't in the streets. We have stood by you all during wars, 9/11, et cetera, et cetera. Why aren't there massive protests? I mean, I have theories. I have theories. I mean, I've been thinking that since 2000, actually. And I think that the, ability of the American people to protest in the necessary numbers has lessened over time because, um, be because of how, divided we are, because of how ignorant people are, because of how and disinformed we are, because we are so siloed, because we literally live in a country in which there is reality in which, I don't know, maybe 60% of us live, and, some fictional universe in which, people have been convinced that QAnon theories are real and that Democrats are the enemy, and, which is fascinating because, as you can imagine, a not insignificant number of people on the right have a problem with me. And I just, not that they would ever talk to me or that I would ever talk to them, but, it's like you guys want people like me dead for however there are so many reasons you want me dead. I just want you to have health care and childcare. And yet, they have been convinced over years that we're the problem. So, now that does not answer the question about the Democrats. However, a lot of that's a lot of those issues are operative for Democrats, and you know, it's quite something. We were really beaten down by Donald's first administration, by COVID, obviously, and by the fact that even after 4 years of, with 2 major exceptions, but I don't wanna talk about that right now. After 4 years of, the Democratic administration that accomplished so much to get us out of the extraordinarily deep hole Donald and Republicans put us in terms of our economic, our serious economic problems. The fact that thousands of us were dropping dead every day and that democracy was on a knife's edge, right? Even after Biden did all of that, it was unpopular. Donald comes back as a huge force in the Republican Party. He gets away with the big lie. He gets away with the insurrection. You know the drill. Even after 4 years of that, we still can't win. We can't win with this, again, with those 2 major exceptions. The Biden administration legitimately being the most successful administration in terms of public health, civil rights, and the economy in my lifetime. We still lose, and here we are. I think everybody's really fucking exhausted, and it just makes it harder when our leaders either just exit stage left or don't understand don't understand the stakes or don't know how to get their messages together. So look, again, just for our own sanity, what's left of mine, they control everything. So in that context, Senate Democrats, Democrats in the House, what are you going to do about it? And the answer, it cannot be nothing. Because if it is, get the fuck out of here, retire, and give us the candidates who actually get it. Again, it's hard not to feel as overwhelmed as I know all of you feel when we suddenly have become a leaderless party, and a price should be exacted for that electorally. The other thing that we need to do is unmask the dystopian Orwellian language that is being used to justify the actions that are being taken. Fox is reporting that Musk is getting into the Treasury Department um, in order to, quote, unmask fraudulent payments, unquote. This is a lie. That is not what's happening. He's in there to raid the US Treasury and disperse it to his tech bro oligarchs, and Donald Trump, of course, is going to get his cut. This was illegal. What's happening is we are in the most serious constitutional crisis since the Civil War. The difference between now and then is that we are being attacked from within. This is a bloodless auto coup, essentially. Okay. From Michelle, question. Have you heard some MAGAs are wanting to put 47's face on Mount Rushmore? Thoughts? Well, I think Mount Rushmore is a disgrace to begin with. Just putting that thing up destroyed a lot of beautiful land and really hurt indigenous people. Yeah, that's a thing that's I think some idiot Republican in the House drafted some legislation to make that happen. Okay. I mean, it's absurd. It's embarrassing. And again, like let's I I'm so sorry, guys. There's one category of things that is designed simply to get under our skin. Doesn't matter. They want to do that, whatever. That is not what we need to like that we cannot let something like that, as despicable as it is, we cannot let that sink its teeth into us. But yeah, it's true. From AJ Vintage. Question: How do we arrest Musk? Answer: We do not. I am very sorry to say that. We do not. From Nacho's mom. Question: Do you think Donald always knew that tariffs would cost us a lot of money, but the fact that it will bring in money to the treasury, then they use that to fund their tax deductions for his billionaires? I don't know. I mean, he's such an idiot. I don't know. It's hard to know sometimes when you know something. But either way, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Somebody told him, or he fixates on things like windmills killing whales, or shower pressure, or the fact that Northern California has a huge tap that you can turn on to, it's just embarrassing. But anyway, I think in terms of how it plays out, it doesn't matter if he knows or not. But whatever the case, you're right. It's going to benefit all of them, but it will be at a extraordinary, like incalculable cost to the American people and our allies. What we're doing to Canada and Mexico right now is grotesque. It's vile. It's despicable. It's unconscionable. Hopefully, Mexico and Canada remember that there are many, many of us who are against this and who would do whatever we can to make it stop. Myra, question. Mary, do you really think he's going to put tariffs on Tuesday or will we back down again? And by the way, you help us keep calm and carry on. Well, do I? I'm so happy I do because I so often don't feel like I am. But thank you. I mean, yeah, I don't see why not. It's all going rather swimmingly for them, so why stop now? I hope I'm wrong. From Amanda Amanda E? Question. Mary, who do you see as the Democratic leader right now? Because the ones in leadership roles, like Schumer, do not seem to be meeting the moment. I don't know. I mean, there are some awesome people in the House. Jasmine Plaskett's, I mixed up their names. Jasmine Crockett, Stacey Plaskett, Jamie Raskin, Eric Swalwell, etc. But I don't know. I honestly I think we might have to go outside of elected officials and figure something else out. I will keep you posted. What's happening here? Oh, I see. Okay. I'm going to hydrate. From Jackie. Question. Some MAGA regrets voting for Donald. When will most MAGA turn against him? Most of them won't. Listen, if you can look at what happened on January 6th, if you can look at what happened during COVID and still think this is all okay, Donald will just keep blaming. Donald will just keep blaming Joe Biden, and most of them will fall for it. You can't feed your kids, you can't heat your home in winter. Look what Obama and Biden did. I am starting out at such a deficit. How could I possibly get us out of this hole without breaking a lot of things first and making everything more, that they'll I think that this is water, guys. It's not that bad. It's purely Sedona water. And I mean, this bottle could stun an ox. It is so heavy. I'll let you know when it gets that bad. No, I am somewhere that's very hot and very dry. I'm drinking like 3 gallons of water a day and not compensating with extra electrolytes, and that is a mistake. Oh man. Uh, let's see. From Chris52, question. What do you think will finally break the apathy in the country? I think an alien disclosure. I'm not entirely sure about that. But also at this point, I think we should try anything. What's going to break the apathy? A lot of suffering. That's a terrible answer. I apologize. All right. I want to we're almost out of time, so I want to take the rest of the time to answer the questions of our super stickers and people who donate to keep us going, because also to thank all of them. What did I just say? Okay. From Edric, thank you so much, Edric. Mary, question: what will Donald do when he realizes he is destroying the country? Thank you. He does realize he's destroying the country. That's the whole point. One thing to understand about Donald is that he is a nihilist. He literally does not believe that anything can exist beyond him because he has such a monstrously, terrifyingly weak ego. And yeah, he's his narcissism is born from a pathological insecurity. So since nothing can exist beyond him, like there's no thought of legacy. He just likes to break things and hurt people in the process. Christopher, thank you so much, Christopher. Question: what are your thoughts about what Kamala Harris is thinking about all of the stuff that's happening since the start of Donald's second term? Thank you again, Mary, for all you do. Thank you for everything you do. I don't know what Kamala Harris is thinking because Kamala Harris isn't saying anything. And that is all I'm going to say about that. From Elise H, thank you so much, Elise. Thank you, Beth. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Pantalemona. Also awesome. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you, Nikki, you super sticker you. Thank you, Michael, who says, I agree with Mary. Thank you for agreeing with me. Sorry. Okay, from Donna. Thank you, Donna, for that donation. Hi, Mary, an American living in Australia. I love Australia, by the way. Saddened by the amount of Americans who choose not to see the horrible things happening over there. Kind regards, Donna. Yes, Donna, I too am deeply saddened, especially since this will not be contained in our borders, and that would be bad enough. So I lost track. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mariana. Very kind of you. I'm sick of that man and his minions bullshit. Right there with you, Mariana. Thank you, Brent. How many housekeepers your grandparents had? Fascinating story. One. My grandfather also had a chauffeur. I had neither of those things, which is much better way to grow up. From Lincoln, when is something going to finally give while Elon is illegally accessing our Treasury Department? Literally, what the fuck? Why? Well, I don't know. I mean, listen, as long as they're getting what they want, we are going to have to see how things unfold, as they go through the legal system. And then I think that will be a huge test, right? Say they get ruled against and ruled against. Will they stop doing it? That's the question that remains. So, two big questions. Will the Supreme Court say clearly and unequivocally, yes, all of this is both illegal and unconstitutional? And if they do that, will the Trump administration do anything about it? Or they'll just be like, you gave me presidential immunity. Good luck with that. Because, the Supreme Court doesn't have a police force as far as I'm aware. Or, and I actually think this is more likely, will the corrupt supermajority of the Supreme Court say, well, you know what? Donald can do whatever he wants as long as it's an official act. All of these are official acts. Fun times. From Peter. Thank you. That's very generous, Peter. Donald. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry. I do not know what that means. So I'm not going to comment. But thank you for your very generous gift. Thank you, Kendra, you super sticker, you. Thank you, William, very much. The North won the Civil War, but like most wars, they lost the peace. Well, yeah, I mean, that's basically, yep, that is a more accurate way of putting it. Thank you, Suzanne, so much. Thank you, Debbie. Question: why do you think school districts are not telling teachers, staff what to do about ICE? A teacher near the US-Mexican border in California distressing. I don't know. I mean, you would think that all schools, especially schools in border states, would have a plan in place long before now. I don't know. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And it's unacceptable that every school, every church, every hospital is not standing um up against these horrors. Or they don't have a choice. That's also, I mean, I don't know enough about it to know, but again, it's kind of time for some um nonviolent protest, some peaceful resistance, right? I think that's where we need to be heading here. Thank you, Blue Lady. Nationwide protests in all state capitals on Wednesday, February 5th. That is in 3 days. So, hey, if we can pull it off, let's. It's going to take more than one protest, but we've got to start somewhere. Um, Thank you, BW. Very kind. Do you think that your loser uncle might be the useful idiot to get Peter Thiel to the White House, make him look demented, use the 25th Amendment, advance gets ahead, Pete the chair? I don't think they need to do that yet, just yet, because Donald's not impeding, right? He's not getting in their way at all. But yeah, I listen, that's in their back pocket for sure. Also, just so you know, this is from Axios. Here are the federal laws that require schools to protect student privacy and others that demand they comply with judicial orders, legal administrative experts told Axios what schools can do. Set policies that outline how staff members should interact with ICE and support students impacted by immigration enforcement. What schools can do. Oh, I just read that. These can include limits on officer access to campuses without a judge's permission, plans for communicating with parents about ICE activity, and protocols for how to support students whose parents have been detained. What schools can't do: reveal most student information to law enforcement without parental permission or a subpoena signed by a judge. The Family Education Rights and Privacy Act forbids schools from sharing information about students, like their addresses, parents' names, or class schedules, without permission from the parent. That gives schools a lot of power here. Let's hope they all use it and fire any teachers or administrators who deviate in any way and put children at risk. Thank you, Haya7771. Question. Did you know February 5th? Yes, just mentioned there's a peaceful protest nationwide at state capitals. If you can't, wear blue on that day. All right. Good. Again, we got to start somewhere. And like I said, this is going to be happening for a very long time. We just have to keep it up and expand our reach. Thank you, Lewis. Canada should stop sales of oil to US and stop the supply of electricity to the US. I can't disagree with you, and that's just horrific. Because as one member of the Canadian legislation said, Canada is under attack from the United States, their closest ally. That's where we are. Thank you, super sticker Joanne. Very kind of you. Thank you, Elvira. Sending all of you love. Thank you, Elvira. We all need it. Thank you, Obito, who says, "Thank you, Mary, for all that you do. There's a coup happening by Musk, and most Americans are not paying attention. What can we do?" It is beyond my comprehension right now that people are paying attention. What can we do? Keep talking about it. Keep getting the message out there. Keep demanding that Democrats get on board with the right kind of messaging. This is a messaging war. This is not about press releases. They need to be fanning out across the country and getting the message out that the Republicans under Donald Trump are a fascist regime, and they are totally dismantling every aspect of American democracy in order to rob us blind and accrue all of the power to themselves at the expense of everybody else. You want all of this to stop? Vote for Democrats from now until the end of time. In perpetuity, in other words. Thank you, Divine Wellness, who says, "Thank you, Mary. You've kept me sane." I'm glad I have. Thank you. Love my dog a lot, as one should. Very kind of you. Thank you, Stephanie, so much. Thank you, KM. That's awesome. You super sticker. And thank you, Steven, so much, who says, "Mary, I love you so much because you're smart." Well, I'm not going to say that out loud, but thank you. Thank you, Steven. That's very kind of you. Annette, thank you so much. Sending respect from Ireland. Thank you. I love the United Kingdom, and I wish my country were being a better ally to yours. Thank you, Rachel P. So kind of you. Thank you, Colonel Nilda. Super sticker. That's everybody. Take a drink of water. Breathe. Keep coming back. We're not going anywhere. We have so much work to do. But, you know, we know what we have to do. I mean, we need to get clearer about the details and how to reach our goals. But, you know, we know that we need to stay disengaged from things that ultimately don't matter. You know, everything can't drive us crazy. We need to stay informed in a way that doesn't make you feel like you're under assault. You need to be kind to yourself and other people. You need to eat well and exercise and get outside and connect with people here for sure, but in real life as well. I've been thinking about art a lot lately. Consume art in whatever form you most appreciate it. Be in nature. And please be safe, everybody. All right. Mary Trump Live, Monday through Friday, every weeknight. At Ireland is not part of the UK. My apologies. What was I thinking? I don't know. Wait. See, I'm American, so do you know what that means? I suck at geography. My apologies. I hope you were not insulted. You probably were. And I should have known that because your donation was in euros because your country is sane. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I was telling you about the shows this week. Monday through Friday, Mary Trump Live, 6 p.m. Eastern. Nerds will be back 12 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays Eastern Time. Lots of videos dropping every day. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And then click on the bell because you'll be alerted every time new videos drop. Also, um, we're we're podcasts now. We're on every podcast platform, and check us out there. Follow us, give us a 5-star review because it helps other people find our content. And now I'm going to spend the rest of the evening beating myself up that I made that mistake about Ireland. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you guys do something slightly more entertaining than that. But seriously, thank you so much for being here. It really helps me tremendously. I have to be honest with you, to kind of use this as a way to get through what happened last week, catch up on what's going now, and get ready for the week ahead. So, thank you so much to our awesome moderators, and of course to my team who rock in ways that you can't even imagine. And again, to all of you super stickers and donators and commentors and people who are watching on YouTube, who are watching on Twitter, and listening to the podcast. We so appreciate all of you, and we'll be back. I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, please stay safe and be kind. Good night.